Verizon joins the other cellular titans in making Android messages their default. Oops, not Android messages.
It used to be called that.
Did used to be called Android messages? Verizon joins the other cellular is such a. I'm not gonna say that. So Verizon, I'm not gonna do that either.
Did you practice it?
I did, yeah, a couple of times. Verizon makes and
They're gonna rename it.
Verizon makes Google Messages their default messaging app on their Android devices. Will Apple start to feel the pressure to become a green bubble? And Steam Deck comes. I'm just probably just tired. Steam Deck I'm gonna have to splice these together and make like a super montage. Verizon joins AT&T and T-Mobile and putting Google Messages as their default messaging app for their Android devices. Will this put pressure on Apple to become a green bubble? And is this new Steam Deck the actual new Nintendo Switch Pro? And we also have some more Google Pixel Fold leaks. All of this and more on today's episode of Jaydan and Laramie Talk Tech. My name's Laramie.
And I'm Jaydan.
And that was like take 15.
We made it.
I could not get
We survived
the intro. But welcome. We're so glad that you've decided to listen in again. We're excited to have some news actually today because we know that it's been a little slow with it being summer. But we've got some stuff for you, and we're going to share it with you today. I'm tongue-tied today, guys.
Tongue-tied. Maybe take a sip of your drink. And
My son Joaquin is sick, so it's been a lot of staying up all night and stuff like that. But I digress. Let's jump in, Jaydan, to the first topic at hand.
I feel like we've talked about this almost every episode of the podcast.
Because we're so gosh darn excited about it.
We're super excited for it. The Pixel Fold.
Yes.
So the Pixel Fold, there were some recent rumors that went out. Is it overlapping on the screen recording?
Overlapping?
Like the...
Oh, no, that's just showing because I zoomed in a little bit so you wouldn't see my bookmark bars.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let
me so then I can cut that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Pixel Fold, it's kind of just more of the same types of rumors. This one's just a little bit different that we potentially are getting 120 hertz refresh on the internal panel, which would align with what's on the, what is it, Fold 3, Fold 2?
Yes.
Z Fold 2?
It'd be the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Z Fold 2 has 120 hertz, right?
I think so.
On the inside.
Yeah, on the inside. And then I think it's 90 hertz on the outside, isn't it?
I think so.
Something like that. Which is super cool. I mean, we have some... So this is an article by T3.com that has some renders of what they're thinking it looks like. I mean, this might just be an artist's render of it, but I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'd be so... we're not going to look at Dead Space, even though I did hear that they're doing a remake of Dead Space, which is pretty cool. That's a part of tech, right?
Yeah.
I played the original Dead Space. Did you?
No.
Oh, man.
I wasn't really into the horror games, but...
Well, it terrified me. I'll just say that it was pretty terrifying. But, so the Pixel Fold... We're getting more and more leaks and rumors about it. But 7.75 inch, 120 hertz screen.
It's a tablet.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good sized tablet. That's a little bit bigger than the iPad mini.
Well, wasn't the old Nexus 7, wasn't that a 7-inch?
Yeah, it was 7.1, I think.
Yeah, and that was Google's like flagship at the time tablet. So
and it sold like crazy. People loved that tablet.
Yeah, I never got my hands on one. I really wanted to.
Really?
But,
I had a friend that had one, and he used it for just like random stuff, like reading books and.
As most of us did at that age.
Yeah,
we didn't have much to do on a tablet.
Much to do on a tablet, but it was cheap and it was pretty good. I mean, the hardware was really good on the Nexus 7.
Well, and you've gone on record as saying that you will probably get the Pixel Fold.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If the Pixel Fold comes out, I will be getting it for
So,
sure.
let's just I'm curious. What do you think is the benefit of having the ability to have a tablet in your pocket? What really do you feel like is going to be the worth the price of entry? Because it is going to be probably,
Yeah.
I think they're speculating like 1,300, something like that,
Mhm.
right? Somewhere around there.
What's
the benefit?
I think games will be a big part of it, like just entertainment in general. But I have wanted to get more into like ebooks and stuff, but I don't like ebooks on a phone.
Sure.
And it's also not that great on a laptop either. Because I have like a 2-in-1 Chromebook and it's good, but like it's still a big laptop that you're carrying around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a tablet is perfect for reading. And I read a lot of news articles.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
So just having a larger screen to scroll through the web and stuff would be nice. I don't know. I think I really like the idea of being more productive too, if you can do the split screen on it, which would be nice. And I just really want to play with the tech.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the most exciting thing to happen to phones in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Especially because it's most likely going to be the new form factor of phones going forward, or at least it's going to be its own category
of expensive phones.
For sure. You know what I'm seeing here is it's kind of funny in this render. I'll have to pull it open for all of you guys that are watching on YouTube. It actually looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So there'd be a camera on each screen if this render is accurate at all. But I think the main thing for me is probably I've been doing a lot more video calling with my parents. They live in Middleton, which is only like 45 minutes away, but I still video call my mom probably every single day. And sometimes my Pixel 5, the screen is I just wish it was just a little bit bigger. I've been tempted to get like the Google Home Hub Max. Is that the one that has it has a camera
with the camera on it? Yeah.
I've been tempted to get that just because it would be nice to be able to video call someone on a bigger screen.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I might just use that as the excuse to my wife to be able to get the Pixel Fold whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
We'll see. I need all the excuses I can, so I'm just stocking up.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So
I'm
going to need an excuse too.
Yeah. I've gone on record myself saying that I will eventually own the Pixel Fold. It's just whether or not it'll be on launch.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait just because I'm cheap.
They'll drop in price for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Every foldable has. I don't think they're going to launch it though at that $2,000 price point that the Folds did.
Okay.
I think it'll be closer to the price that the Fold 3 would be starting at.
Yeah, so. I definitely think that it would be I think the 1,200 mark is probably right, especially because we're now getting older and older into the tech. And this is generation 3 on Samsung's side, and they are going to be Samsung panels from what I'm reading, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Samsung glass and panel.
Yeah. So the tech has already been researched. There's not as much to front on R&D and all of that. So I think that we'll start to see them like climb down into the affordable segment as well, which I mean, I would love to see the Z Flip be around $800, $900 and just start to see us dropping the price.
I think it'll be closer. I mean, Samsung loves to discount things. I think it'll be closer to the $1,000 price point still, but it will discount down to that pretty quickly.
They do like to discount stuff like all the time. Yeah. When you have a phone in every single price segment, I think you're just like, oh, what should we run a discount on
every
today?
Every $50 bracket.
Yeah.
There's a different Samsung phone.
Hey, I mean, if you're gonna go with that marketing strategy, I guess it works for them. They're giant enough to be able to do that. But still, we're still expecting to see the custom silicon in it, and the stuff that I've been reading online says that they're still expecting the announcement to be this year.
I think it'll be announced this year. I don't know if it'll be released this year. It might be an early spring 2022 launch. Which they did that with the Pixel Buds. They announced them at the same time they did the other Pixel announcements. Yeah. And they said this is coming spring of next year. So
Well, it's kind of we're kind of in a toss up right now because Google's release schedule has been jacked up since the beginning of COVID.
hmm
Like as soon as the pandemic hit, like we saw the Pixel 4a get pushed and it
Yep.
messed up the scheduling there. We still don't know when the 5a is going to come out, which
rumors are that it's next month.
that's what I'm hearing too, which that would be great, but Google's probably thinking a lot about how they don't really. I mean, the Pixel 5a is, I don't think, going to be as big of a deal as previous A models,
Unless they really undercut it on price,
which would be, I mean,
which they might.
it would. I'm just curious to see what they end up doing for the Pixel 5 owners, if anything, because I'm going to be like, what's that much better about my phone that I spent that much more on my phone?
But you got yours used.
I did get mine used.
So
doesn't stop me from
price-wise
being upset.
Yeah. That's true. But you'll be what you have spent will be much closer to whatever this 5A launch is at.
True. Which, have we gotten rumors of the price?
No, because people are like, I don't get this phone.
Yeah.
It's the 4A 5G with a different name.
Yeah.
Is what it's looking like.
Yeah.
But that should be fine if they lower the price.
Yeah. And they are also, I still keep seeing conflicting reports on what the size is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be just a barely bit bigger than a Pixel 5, or if it's going to be the size of the Pixel 4a.
People have gone
XL.
back and forth. The rumors
5G.
have. Yeah. It's been between, like you said, the exact same as a 4A 5G or just a little bit smaller than that. So kind of in between.
Yeah.
The 5 and 4A.
So then
5G.
people can't recycle their cases.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, like a millimeter bigger, so it won't fit.
Yeah. Or the panel is cheaper, which
Yeah.
would help with costs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm still happy with my Pixel 5 and all of that. So
I miss my Pixel 5, gonna be honest.
yeah, you're Pixel 4a still, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like so far into it, which I was a couple months ago too, where
Yeah.
it's like there's no point in me buying a different phone.
Yeah. No, not with the impending doom of spending
Too much money
$1,000 on a Pixel Fold looming in the holiday season. I'd like to see it during the holiday season.
I would too.
I don't really have any expectations for Google right now, just because their release schedule has been completely jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
I have no expectations on when they're going to release anything. I mean, we saw with the Pixel Buds A that they just like dropped.
Released them.
Just all of a sudden, and everyone's like, oh.
And they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you have them?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I just like from looking at them online, people have said that they've improved a lot of the things that the Pixel Buds that I have actually had issues with.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, from what I'm understanding here in the U.S., it's looking like the Pixel Buds 2020 are being removed from the store.
Mm-hmm.
So
for good reason, because these Pixel Buds A's, they listened.
yeah,
They listened to the things that people wanted fixed.
yeah,
One of them was connection issues. So instead of right now with the Pixel Buds 2020s, the way they would connect to your phone, or actually to each other, is your phone would connect to one of them, and then it would relay to the other.
yeah.
Right?
Is, for lack of a better word, but it is the proper term, it was slaved to the other headphone. Yeah.
And now they're doing like two independent connections
Yeah.
instead of just your phone connecting to one.
Which then you can use just one on either ear.
Yeah.
Which
you could with the other ones too.
Oh, okay.
Your phone would just like connect to whichever one you were using singularly.
yeah.
But when they're both connected,
It's just okay.
Yeah. They'll actually be two independent streams.
Okay,
to
that
each
makes
one.
sense.
So it should improve, which is how AirPods work. It
Yeah.
should improve the connection.
Yeah.
And then the other one they did was the like little rubber piece on the back that keeps it in your ear. They said that they redesigned it a little bit so it doesn't push into your ear as much, but it also just keeps it a little bit more stable for more ears. And that's what a lot of people said they wanted fixed.
I've heard really good things about it. I still question the decision on why call it the Pixel Buds A. Why not just be like Pixel Buds 2021? Because they did that with the 2020. Unless they're going to release a more premium option pretty soon.
I think that's what'll happen.
Which we haven't had any leaks about that. So
they did keep the design under wraps though.
Yeah.
On the Pixel Buds 2020s. No one knew what those were going to look like. There was rumors that Google was going to have those, but there was no rumors of or no leaks of the design before they launched. So
it's a curious time for Google. I mean, coming off of their I/O event, there was a lot of hype, and I kind of feel like they didn't capitalize on the hype that the I/O event generated enough. And then it was just, I just had such high hopes during I/O, seeing all the cool things that they were implementing, that maybe their marketing team was gonna kind of start throwing some fastballs. But I feel like the Pixel Buds A were kind of a missed opportunity in the sense that they didn't really put any marketing behind it.
They are cheap though. I mean,
they're cheap,
$99.
But we've talked about this so many times that Google's marketing team really needs to step up, especially because they're hugely known for being an advertising platform too. So you would think that they'd actually be able to advertise their products well, but really, if we weren't techies, if I wasn't a techie, I don't think I'd even know what the Pixel Buds A are. I'd just be like, oh, what's the difference between the Pixel Buds 2020?
Episode with Cody. Cody said he didn't even know that that Google Assistant existed.
Yeah.
And he's not techie necessarily, but like he into
keeps
tech.
Up. He's hip.
He keeps up with tech in general.
Yeah, for sure.
And he had no idea Google Assistant existed. Yeah.
So I hope that that's not spelling out what that Google still isn't really prioritizing advertising.
Did you see the rumors? I think we talked about this, but Max Weinbach, he's one of the big leakers. He had like the first spec list of the Pixel 6, Pixel 6 Pro.
Oh,
and then he also said that this line of Pixels is supposed to get a Samsung level marketing budget.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Like that's what it was in his rumors. He was like, who he's talking to is saying that they're getting really, really serious this time around. Yeah. And they explicitly said the marketing budget is going to be very high.
Yeah. Which I would love. Yeah. I'd love to see that. I think that's honestly, Google has really started to nail down their products. I feel like their products are starting to get really good. I'm trying to think right now if I have any issues with my Pixel 5. But I don't know if there's anything that would change about it.
Yeah, I mean, like great battery, great camera. The sensor, maybe. I mean, the sensor's kind of old, right? But it still takes great photos.
Just because I'm a techie, that I would love to see a better sensor in it, but I never really take a photo and find it lacking. I guess sometimes the low light performance it leaves a little bit to be desired, which would be solved by a bigger sensor. But for being just a device that's supposed to stay in your pocket and just make your life easier, it does all of it. And so if they can just put some of their Goliath power behind the marketing of these devices, I really think that we could start to see them actually gain attention and actually take hold of some of the marketing or the market segment of phones right now.
I think they definitely have the market awareness around the Pixel phone. Maybe not their other products necessarily, because a lot of people still think of like Alexa for the smart devices. They don't. Yeah. Not everyone really knows like of Google Home and Nest Hub and.
Because I mean, Google Assistant blows.
It's way better.
Alexa and Siri out of the water on all accounts.
Yeah, on every front. I mean, it's kind of a joke when you compare them.
Well, even this I think it was last episode when we were wrapping up and packing up all of Jaydan's stuff. I think that's when you told me about YouTube Music. I honestly was just annoyed by all of the pop-ups of like, hey, try YouTube Music for free for that. I was just like almost out of spite. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want it.
So you were saying they were putting marketing money.
They were, but not in a good way. Because like any advertiser would know that you're retargeting. You shouldn't retarget someone so many times because you diminish your returns on it. Yeah. Because eventually
you're annoying them.
Yeah, eventually that person is just like, leave me alone. And so I never really tried YouTube Music, and I didn't understand all the benefits that went with YouTube Music. I am a techie. I didn't know that YouTube Music came with YouTube Premium so that I could get ad-free YouTube, which is godsend for a parent because being able to
YouTube
play
Premium is like the subscription I couldn't get rid of.
Yeah.
I couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah. It's great. And also the YouTube Music app, it actually does a really good job of picking up music that you like.
It's YouTube's algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
They're really good at recommendations.
I set up Morgan's phone, my wife, today with YouTube Music and had her do the whole like choose the artist that you like. That like at first, my wife gets pretty frustrated at tech pretty quickly. If it doesn't work like
Mine
immediately, like she's just like, oh, this is stupid. And I'm like, wait, give it a chance. But so she started on the page where it has all the artists and you're supposed to click on the ones that you like. And she's just like flicking through and she's like, I don't know any of these. I was like, just be patient. Just once you find one, it'll start to learn. And so she found one that she liked and she clicked on that. And then it would sprout a bunch more that are similar to that. And then she's like, oh yeah, I like them. And eventually it was like the entire page was all artists that she likes.
Yeah.
So you're using Google's machine learning, which we're huge advocates for. We think it's the best reason to own any Google products.
Yeah.
Now it's implemented into a music service, which I listen to music all the time. I'm the worship director at our church, so I'm just like constantly listening to music. And I thought it would be lacking to swap over to YouTube Music from Spotify, but in reality, the only thing that I'm really missing is there's a feature on Spotify where you could start a station, which was basically I could start a playlist, start listening to it, and then my wife could listen to the exact same song at the exact same time. It was almost like Bluetooth pairing our headsets, but not using Bluetooth. So you don't have to go through that whole ringamaroo. That's not on YouTube Music yet. But aside from that, I wasn't really feeling like I was lacking anything. And this was all discovery through word of mouth, not through marketing.
Yeah.
Aside from the little pop-up that's like, hey, have you tried YouTube? It's like, shut up.
No,
I just want to see how to make a Southwest quesadilla. That's all I want to know.
Well, now that you caved, you don't get any advertisements.
So, I mean, that's the best reason to get YouTube Premium. But it's only a couple bucks more than Spotify, and it's a good product. It just still baffles me that Google doesn't do better. Hire my wife, Google. They could do a much better job of whoever your marketing director is.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my rant.
I think YouTube Music, I mean, I've used it since the app literally launched. Use YouTube Music because I was actually a really long time Spotify user. Even before they even had a mobile app, I was using Spotify. So Spotify really knew my taste of music, and I had tons of playlists there. And I just decided I was going to try YouTube Red.
Yeah.
That at the time it was called YouTube Red. Now it's YouTube Premium. But yeah, I mean, I switched over and really haven't looked back since then because it covered all my needs.
There's one thing that does annoy me about it. YouTube Music does not roll off the tongue. I don't like the name.
Yeah. I get that.
YouTube Premium even I don't really feel like is great. But I digress. I just think that Google has such great products. Their assistant is becoming more and more refined. Like the main reason to own a Pixel right now that keeps me locked in, and you guys know by now that I don't lock into a phone for very long.
Yeah.
But I keep locked into the Pixel because of like the call screening and the assistant and all the quality of life things.
The best way I can describe it is that time when you switch from a feature phone or a dumb phone to a smartphone. Yeah. What, like 10 years ago? That moment, and we all kind of remember that moment where you like switch to an iPhone or you switch to an early Android phone. You're like, this is night and day better. That's what it feels like to go from an Android phone or an iPhone to a Pixel. Yeah. Because then the Pixel starts doing things like call screen. There's just so many features on there that make your life easier. Yeah. And it feels like a smarter phone.
No, I completely agree. Especially with their it's not really a new path, but pushing more into the whole customization and the phone just doing things for you with Material You. Yeah. Like is just, I'm still on the Android 12 beta. It sounds like you ran into a boot loop. Yeah. So, and you're about to do some traveling, so it doesn't make sense to be on beta.
Yeah, I don't want to take that risk.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm still on the Android 12 beta, and one of my favorite things is there's this app called Wally. It's a wallpaper app. Pay the $2. It's worth it.
Yeah.
You can make a playlist of different wallpapers of your favorite artists through there. They have a lot of really cool like 4K wallpapers. So I have a playlist of wallpapers that I use that are super like minimalist and abstract. And with this newest update, I'm actually just going to throw this up on the screen. Google Keyboard is starting to get some updating too. So now the keyboard is dynamic in its theming. And it actually pairs up with my Wally app so that every time that my Wally app changes the wallpaper, my whole keyboard changes its aesthetic too. And well, the whole theming of the entire device changes.
Yeah.
Which is
like your settings,
super cool.
all of that.
Yeah. I no longer have to, like, whenever I want to change my wallpaper, I no longer have to be like, I should change because I'm that guy that I'm like, I had to change my icon colors because I want it all to be cohesive.
Yeah.
It does it for you. And that really is the biggest incentive to be a Pixel owner, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think
device does things for you.
I think it just comes down to it knows you, like, because it's Google, right? Like, they have data on your preferences, but they also just have some of these smart features like Material You. It's just based off your wallpaper, right?
Yep.
But your wallpaper is your decision that you made, and then it just makes smart decisions around colors that make it feel more like your device.
Yeah.
And that's just one example of what the Pixel can do to make it feel more personal.
Yeah.
And like like I was saying, a smarter phone.
Yeah. It feels like an actual smartphone just because the amount of stuff that it does that eliminates a step on my end is awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to a coworker actually. We were talking about spam calls. I don't know how it came up, but he gets them all the time, and he has a Samsung. I think he has a S20 or an S21, so a pretty new phone. And yeah, he was just like, man, I can't stand spam calls. And I'm like, I don't get them.
Yeah. Yep.
My phone just screens them for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
How? And so I just explained how call screen works. And he's like, so do you have to like pay for that? And I'm like, no, it just like comes with a Pixel.
Yeah.
It's just Google Assistant.
Yeah. Those are the quality of life things.
Yeah.
Man.
His like the light lit up. He's like, I think I'm going to get a Pixel.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've yet to use the on hold thing yet. I haven't really ran into a situation where
I've used it 2 or 3 times and
Pretty
super easy. I mean, like, it's in beta, you know, they always launch these new assistant features in like a beta phase on Pixels. But it worked great. Like you just do hold for me, and it does turn off the audio on your phone because the audio has to route through the on hold.
Yeah.
Or Google Assistant. So like you can't listen to music at the same time and stuff, but which makes sense because your microphone and your audio and everything is being watched or used by that call.
Yeah,
so.
That makes sense. I just think it's just they're great. They're great phones. It's a great platform for sure. And you know, my mom has my OnePlus 7 Pro, and I sometimes still look at it and I'm like, it's the bigger screen.
Yeah.
Which is why the Pixel Fold would be perfect.
Or the Pixel 6 Pro.
But the Pixel Fold would be great because then, like, when I'm really feeling like I want a big screen, it's like
big screen.
But you know, right now we have phones like the OnePlus Nord 2 that just came out, which has been getting a lot of
I haven't followed
great
it
reviews.
too much, honestly.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it. I mean, I know more about the first Nord than this one.
Yeah. It just sounds like more and more phones, and I'm bringing this up because I feel like Google has been the one that really laid the groundwork for this. More and more phone companies are just trying to create phones that are the essentials but done well.
Yeah.
Right now, the Nord 2 looks like it's a phone that does the essentials and it does it really, really well.
It looks like a Pixel 4a.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, look at the front right
the
here.
Corner.
Yep.
Totally looks like a 4a.
And it's plastic, so it's kind of the departure away from glass is great, but glass breaks. I've always still loved the slider on these, but
which they stole from iPhone.
They totally stole it from iPhone, and it's a feature that's worth stealing from iPhone because it's super nice to just have a a physical slider that I know that my phone's going to be on silent.
Sure.
But the processor that they're using, and I'm going to go ahead and switch back here, it's a Dimensity 1200 AI. So it has an emphasis on artificial intelligence, and it basically is the same level of like a Snapdragon 865. It's one of the only things that I feel like
Dimensity, that's MediaTek, right?
Yeah, I believe it's a MediaTek. And
Well,
so
we'll bring that up later then too.
Okay, perfect. Look at that. Segues all over the place. That's the only thing. Like, I'm hoping that we get to see a departure from that on Google's end of using. I mean, I know everything's optimized, but I don't feel super confident playing games on my Pixel 5.
Yeah,
like
765.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not super confident about it. Not confident like I was with my OnePlus 7 Pro.
Which that was an 855, right?
Yes, it was it was 855.
Okay.
And so it's nice to see the OnePlus Nord packing a processor into their phones at $400, like the $400 price
Well,
mark.
MediaTek they're up and coming for sure. I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've actually have been
more in the overseas segment, right?
Overseas, but also like they are the processor manufacturer for a lot of the devices that we buy all the time, but you don't really care what the processor is. So Internet of Things type devices, they power a lot of like audio equipment and stuff like that. Like that's MediaTek is running the processors on a lot of cheaper things. Yeah. But now they're really getting serious and trying to take on Snapdragon. Yeah. So, and in the laptop segment.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great to see this competition starting to pop its head up. Snapdragon is no longer going to be kind of like the go-to, especially with Google now kind of exiting partnership with Snapdragon in the sense of their phones. I'm sure they'll still use them with other stuff. But my point is that cheap phones are getting really good. Yeah. And I did want to mention this. The one thing that I do miss, I don't know if you've ever had a phone that has like 65 watt charging.
No.
I would trade fast charging 65 watt charging for wireless charging personally.
Really?
It comes in so
I think
clutch.
I would too.
Because it's like at the end of my day with like the OnePlus 7 Pro, it was a beast anyway. It would it would last all day. But if I really had a really big gaming session where I was just like on like Genshin Impact and I had quality maxed out and I'm like ticking around like 15-20%, but I'm like, oh crap, I need to go to to a party or something like that, rather than like having to have battery anxiety of being like, I'm not gonna be able to charge this fast enough, which I run into that with the Pixel all the time. I would plug it in. I think I could leave it plugged in while I was like brushing my teeth or getting dressed, like 10 minutes, and it would be close to 50%. Like,
so you're saying that you would give up wireless charging for that?
100%.
I thought you meant the other way.
No.
So I would give up that for wireless charging. I wish my 4A had wireless charging.
If it was faster charging, yes.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing. Yeah, it's super nice and convenient to be able to put my phone onto a disc or onto like a little stand.
I just like the not thinking about it aspect.
That's great. Love that. But I would argue that fast charging gives me less battery anxiety because I know if I just need a quick top off, like, and I wouldn't charge my phone overnight with the fast charging. I would have both like the fast charger plugged in and just a normal charger, and I would use the normal charger at night so then it wouldn't kill my battery. Yeah. But it was so nice. I miss it so much.
I feel like when I had the 5 though, my phone was full more often because of the wireless charging. So I had one at my desk, which I'm looking at your desk. You don't have a wireless charger at your desk?
Well, yeah. So I guess it's kind of the whole thing that the thought of keeping your battery at 100% all the time is bad for it.
Sure.
And so I'd much rather just run the battery out completely and then just be able to top it up really quick.
Which you and I have said that we change phones too often for that to matter.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
That's true. But like the anxiety of
Yeah.
being like,
I get what you mean.
almost out of battery. And then if I were to plug it in, it's only 18 watts. So it's not fast enough.
I think what you're really pointing out is that Google needs to move on to the next generation of fast charging.
Well, so I was going to ask you, has there been any sort of leaks as to like that? I'm sure that's not like a headliner.
There hasn't really been any leaks that I've heard of, but with them going to custom silicon, that's something that they have control of. Because with Snapdragon, they would have had to pay extra royalties to use Snapdragon's fast charging that's built in.
Yeah.
Which is why it's actually been at 18 watts for a long time, because it's a little bit cheaper for them to just do like Android's built-in fast charging than Snapdragon's fast charging.
Yeah. Which makes, that makes sense. And that's, the fast charging with, it's been Warp Charge for the OnePlus brand.
For OnePlus, yeah.
Is proprietary to them.
Mm-hmm.
But 65 watts, man, if you ever,
you can watch the battery go up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy
love
fast.
it. It's great. I really hope that Google does something with their charging soon to boost that up. But aside from that, so there's no wireless charging, but like I said, I wouldn't really miss that, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Brighter screen and a 90 hertz OLED. And then here's the thing, 2 years of updates. 2 years. That's not
Samsung
much.
does 3.
Samsung does 3.
So.
Didn't Pixel? I thought Google just said that it was. Was it 5?
Well, that was last episode. Rumors are that this new processor is going to be 5 years of updates.
Yeah.
So.
But hey, Jaydan, are you going to keep your Pixel Fold for 5 years?
No.
So it's like, so it's more so. I guess the point here is that you would get faster updates with the Pixel.
But that's also great news for the general consumer.
For sure. Great news for the general consumer.
Probably the biggest news of the Pixel 6. Even if it didn't get a new camera sensor and a new design. Like, if Google just updated a couple of things on the Pixel 6, but then also had the 5 years of updates, that would be the biggest news about the Pixel 6.
For sure.
For a general person.
We'll start to see Pixel 6s be around in 5 years and looking at someone and be like, wow, you still have your Pixel 6? And they'll be like, yeah, it still works. Just like we have friends with Apples that are super old. And
iPhone, it'd be like an iPhone 6S at this point.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it'd be like an iPhone 6S. Or
gross. I just think about the screen.
iPhone 7. 5 years.
I'm one of those people that I do feel like I can see the difference between Full HD and quad.
That's like an iPhone 7, though. We're phone snobs. Sorry.
Anyway, we're phone. I mean, come on, you're listening to the tech podcast. What do you expect? But it is really cool to see that OnePlus is still giving attention to Nord. I think they've actually recovered their brand a little bit. More and more techies are starting to say you can't get upset at them for changing their moniker from the flagship killer because it's just it's just business. I think
the worst news that they have though is their operating system.
I know exactly. Stuff. Yep. Because this phone is actually Oxygen OS based off of Color.
Yeah, it's like a skin on top of Color OS.
Yeah, which that is really bad news.
That's a little sketchy.
Well, I think that's predictable though. I mean, Oppo has always been the parent company. It was always going to come. I think they just wanted people to be hooked before they made that swap. But so the Dimensity 1200 with being MediaTek, I think that's probably the coolest thing that they're putting a Snapdragon 865 equivalent chip into a budget phone.
Yeah, I mean, because the chip is cheaper.
So I think that kind of leads us into the Steam Deck, which is going to be using what? Do you remember what? I don't think they actually have a name for it, right? Because it's a custom.
Yeah, it's a
custom chip.
It's a custom processor. It's an AMD APU, which is really just their branding for the same as like a Core i5 with integrated Intel graphics. Yeah, it's the same thing.
They're just like the graphics are a little bit more dedicated than you would find on the Intel stuff.
Yeah, they have better integrated graphics than Intel generally speaking, but Intel's latest gen on the 11th gen processors is pretty close to what AMD is doing. The Intel Xe graphics. Yeah. So they're kind of neck and neck at this point. The last generation, I mean, it was no question AMD was way better.
Crushed it.
Than what Intel was doing.
I'm using an AMD right now, and it's killer.
Yeah. But this Steam Deck, it's really cool. I wish that I was more of like a PC gamer. And I'd be
This might
even
turn me into that.
more excited about that.
I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
It is. The only thing is, I mean, I don't think it's enough to switch me from the Switch. It's because I have a Switch because of the games, Nintendo games.
For sure.
But
you're not going to lug around both.
No, not a chance. Well, the Steam Deck, I mean, if you look at it, it's portable, but it's still a pretty honking machine.
Yeah.
And you can't remove the controllers off of it like you can with the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been playing the heck out of Monster Hunter Stories 2 here recently. And this morning, I was in bed. I had just gotten Joaquin down for his nap. And this makes me seem so lazy, but I didn't want to get up and go to my living room and dock my Switch, but I also didn't want to hold my Switch in my hands. So I just took the controllers out, put the little kickstand up, and then just put it on my on my lap while I played it like this. I mean, it's just the versatility of the Switch is still something that I think is to be marveled at. But to have, I mean, dude, like quad channel 32-bit LPDDR5 memory, like that's up to insane. 5,500 like speeds.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great call for them.
For sure.
To go with super, super fast RAM because AMD loves fast RAM. Mm-hmm. So they're deciding to make this pretty well future-proofed hardware.
Yeah.
Just by giving the processor what it needs.
Well, so,
rather than saving the money on cheaper RAM.
Well, watching the talks with the developers of the Steam Deck, they were like, yeah, it's not a portable console. It's a PC.
Yeah, it's a PC with a screen on it.
Yeah,
that you can carry around with you.
it's incredible. You see them like they're able to plug it into a normal monitor,
mouse, keyboard, and you're good to go.
Yeah, done. It's like great. It sounds like it's really solidly built, and it's making a lot of rounds around the internet, for sure. Because it's just man, they capitalized on it in such like perfect timing. Yeah, because with the Switch Pro not being released,
OLED.
Like it's the Switch OLED. They can just come in and be like, dude, this is the Switch Pro. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't switch.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just.
But here's your portable PC.
Portable PC. It's running a custom Steam ROM, which is based off of Linux, which you are pretty excited about.
This is a huge deal. And I feel like people are just missing it. Unless you're in the Chrome OS like sphere of tech news. This is a really, really big deal because what's happening here with SteamOS that's based on Arch Linux, it is Linux-based running Proton from Valve.
Okay.
Proton is a compatibility layer that sits on Linux to talk to Windows games, to PC games. So PC games are running on Linux going through Proton.
Okay.
And Proton is made and managed by Valve.
Okay.
Right now, about 80% of Steam's games are completely compatible on Proton.
Yeah.
They said in their announcement, it was like in one of the other videos, the secondary videos, they said by the end of the year, they want to have 100% of Steam compatible.
Which is incredible. Which they have to if they're going to have a console that runs Steam.
But that's a huge deal because Proton is available to download for Linux users.
Yeah.
On a normal PC that's running Linux.
Yeah.
So all these advantages that are coming with SteamOS are coming to Linux devices and Linux gamers because Linux is it's a more efficient operating system than Windows.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want, it's going to get to the point where if you want the most efficient gaming device, like gaming
I could
PC,
see that coming for sure.
They'll switch to Linux.
Yeah.
And away from Windows, which is bad news for Microsoft.
Steam is... We need to keep our eyes on Steam. Like the tech community needs to keep an eye on them because they're gaining steam.
You're not going to say it. He said it. I'm going to go.
Seriously, though, they're really doing some cool stuff here recently.
Oh, for sure.
Their integration with, their willingness to work on Linux. And it's really cool, honestly.
And, which we haven't even talked about this yet. So... Not only is this good news for Linux gamers, but this is huge news for Chrome OS as an operating system. So Chrome OS, it for a while has had the ability to install Linux on it, and it's just a Linux container.
Yeah.
You can have a terminal, which I actually use it all the time on my Chromebook for web development. But this is a really big deal because they're working. This is like public on the Chrome OS repositories where they're publicly working on it. It's called Project Borealis, and they are literally trying to get Steam to work in a Linux container on every Chromebook.
Yeah.
So you effectively will have Steam OS being able to one-click install on a Chromebook.
Yeah. Man, it's just like,
that's bad news for Microsoft.
Well, it's bad news for anyone but like Google, really.
Great news for Valve.
Yeah.
Great news for Google.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show again that Google is, and their willingness to play nice with other companies and not just consume them.
Yeah.
Hey man, I really think we're gonna see them reap the rewards of that in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
Easily.
And a lot of people are saying, they're like, oh, well, Chromebooks have like terrible hardware. Like there's no way that I could run a Windows game on this Steam OS once it's available. Well, there's also work being done on Chromebooks that have dedicated graphics cards.
Yeah.
They're not publicly released yet, but they are very close to release based on the work that's being done that you can just see.
It's the natural next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that same argument is just going to be gone.
Yeah.
There's going to be Chromebooks that can run Steam and any Windows game that you want to run.
Yeah. I think Alphabet is at just such a size right now, and they're integrated into so much that I think they're realizing that it'd be bad for business for them to just consume their competition. I think they just want to, because competition, everyone knows that competition is good.
Yeah.
It's good for everyone involved. And it pushes the industry forward. This is a perfect segue into Verizon is now, they've said yes to Google Messages, not Android Messages. I'm going to have to super cut that in there so people can see how many times
Google,
I messed up
Android,
on the intro.
Android Messages.
Oh my goodness. But that's pretty big news. That's now the three like major US carriers that are using Android or Google Messages as their default messaging service. And the reason this is a big deal is because that means now RCS is going to be activated on so many more devices.
Yeah, and this starts in 2022 for Verizon. AT&T is already starting this on their new releases of phones.
And T-Mobile
has already started it. So Verizon is going to start in 2022.
Yeah.
Which will probably be the next generation of Samsung's devices, is what that means.
Yeah.
And then LG isn't really a thing anymore, but like OnePlus.
Poor LG.
But yeah, like any other Android phones that Verizon sells will have this defaulted to Google Messages.
And the reason that this is a big deal, like we mentioned, is because of RCS. RCS is going to be the new standard. It is already the new standard.
It is.
As opposed to SMS. It's like I actually saw, I was reading in the comments of a couple of these articles that were talking about Verizon switch over, and some people were like, well, this isn't going to convert anyone over from Apple to actually start implementing RCS because RCS isn't encrypted. And it's like, no, poor guy, he got decimated by everyone else. They're really like, you fool. it is end-to-end encrypted. Just
look at the headlines from RCS for the last like 6 months.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. It is end-to-end encrypted. You can read and write receipts, and you can also see typing indicators. Really, we're getting, and it's a full fat JPEGs and video media,
you can send
everything,
like full size files. I think it maxes out 100 megabytes.
Yeah, which
on files.
What are you doing? Huge. What are you doing messaging someone in 100 megabyte file?
But like you can send PDFs to people. You can send files to someone through RCS.
That coupled with like nearby share on the Google products now is just that's the AirDrop equivalent, and Google is coming after Apple hard.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. for sure. And I really do think that if Apple isn't careful, like I said in the intro, I think they need to be a green bubble now, or they just need to accept green bubbles, or else they're going to become like blue. The blue bubble is going to be more of like the stigma, the bad thing.
For sure.
Because right now, Apple is losing out on a lot of reasons as to why they shouldn't enable RCS. Because that's really just it's almost like a back end switch that they need to just say, okay, fine, we accept. And that with all the lawsuits too, with the antitrust stuff that's going on with Apple.
It's only going to get worse for Apple not supporting RCS.
Yeah.
Because of the antitrust stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not in their interest to either. I mean, like you see from a business standpoint, why they're going to hold off as long as they possibly can.
For sure.
To not support RCS.
Because why is a parent going to spend $500 or $600 on a phone for their kid when they could buy an Android phone that's like something like $200, $250 and it works just as well with everything?
That's the first part. And then the second half is the parent's going to be like, well, I want the read receipts and stuff with my kid.
Yeah.
So I'll just sell my iPhone.
Yep.
I'll go buy a Pixel, or I'll go buy a Samsung phone.
They're going to see...
has all those features with my kid.
Yeah. They're going to see the roles reversed.
Yeah.
And
I'm
here for it.
I'm here for it too, because I mean, Apple has been a big bully in the communication sphere in the US, especially.
Well, and there's been more and more articles coming out from techies about how they were bullied growing up because they didn't have an Apple phone.
They were the green bubble.
Yeah. And we had Cody on the show, and he's straight up said that, he texted me less now that I am not a
when you switched
blue
back
bubble.
from your iPhone that you had for a brief stint.
Yeah, we try not to talk about the affair too much, but so I don't know. The odds are stacking up against Apple. They're running out of excuses for not implementing RCS. And I think it's going to become the biggest stake is definitely that people are going to be like, well, RCS is encrypted now. You've always said that you didn't want to integrate with RCS because it wasn't as safe, but SMS is way more unsafe than RCS.
Yeah, and that's what The Verge is actually bringing up in their podcast. Just this most recent episode, they were talking about it, and they were saying now Apple is putting their users at risk by not supporting RCS.
Exactly.
Because their users now are texting people on green bubbles to Android, and that communication is completely wide open. Yeah.
So. Now, I did see someone in the comments, and this could easily be someone that just doesn't know what they're talking about, but they said that the other day were texting one of their friends that's an Apple user, and they actually saw a read receipt pop up, and they were like, I haven't been able to have it pop up again, but they were like, I wonder if like something's going on that maybe they're starting to try to figure that out. So my thinking is that user, probably their friend, has maybe like an Android phone too. Maybe it's another techie, and maybe they were just like, or maybe they swapped. I don't know. But like, this wouldn't be the first time that we've seen stuff like this happen, where a company's like, okay, we need to start figuring this out, and then somehow it gets available. So that someone's like, oh, I got a read receipt. But I saw that and I was like, I think we're getting close. It's inevitable.
Well,
in my opinion, it's inevitable.
It's inevitable, but I don't think it'll happen until Apple is forced by the government to do it.
No,
I really don't think Apple cares enough. They care more about themselves than their users.
Yeah.
That they're just going to make that selfish decision to hold out until they're forced to.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think we're just going to see Apple white knuckling, like not playing nice, until finally you're right. I really do think you're right. I think the government's just going to be like, you have to stop this stupid monopoly. And they're going to be like, oh, fine. And then it's just going to be a flip. And then, well, no, they're probably going to draw out the process and be like, oh, it's taking a long time.
2023, we will finally do it. Yeah,
it's stupid. But it's good news, period. It's good news for everybody involved. I am starting to see, it's crazy. I'm starting to see more and more read receipts and stuff like that between all my friends. There are more people jumping onto Android. I was actually in a group message the other day where there was only one iPhone user in the whole group message. I was like, oh,
wow,
we're close.
So they were literally the green bubble.
They were literally
because you could have had an RCS group chat if that person wasn't in there.
Apple would just enable it. So
I haven't had that experience. I'm still the green bubble in most of my groups.
yes, no, there's only one group, and it's with
Yeah.
someone. It's with someone that watches our podcast.
Oh,
So
yeah. Got it.
it's like techie community, but it's starting to seep outside of just
Sure.
the tech community, and I'm here for it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to just
Me
finally
too.
get rid of that and be able to actually message my friends and have them respond in a timely manner, because it doesn't matter that I'm a
That
green bubble.
and like the reactions
Yeah.
are super helpful.
Yeah.
I hate getting they loved
Oh,
my message,
man.
and it's like
Bane
quote
of my
loved.
existence.
I hate it.
I hate it too.
So yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's pretty. I just want to make sure, because my brain's been scattered all day today. I want to make sure we talked about everything in our intro. We did.
Yeah. We
Um,
covered it.
Yeah, and we thought this was going to be a shorter episode, but it turned out to be a full length episode.
Yeah.
So
It always does.
it always does. I mean, this is a good episode. I had fun with this episode.
Yeah.
It was a good one. Hope you guys did too. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Jaydan just activated our Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter's username system sucks. So it's Jaydan in Laramie, because it can't be the same as Instagram with the and, because it's too long.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So Jaydan in Laramie.
Yeah, like we're
We
hip
could change
kids from the
it.
'90s.
Yeah, we'll see what we do about that, but that's
so-
what it is right now.
Go follow us. I'm sure Jaydan will be the one that interacts with you, because I hate Twitter and refuse to use it. We're trying our best to post more on social media. Make sure that you're watching the YouTube uploads. We think it's really fun to be able to interact with you guys on that platform as well. Again, comment, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when these go live every other Sunday or Monday, every other Monday. My brain. And let us know if there's any sort of topics that you want to talk about. We love getting fan requests on what to talk about, and we're listening.
We recently updated the website, actually just today. So at the bottom of the website, jaydanandlaramie.com, there's the link to all of our social.
Yeah.
So easy to get to them.
Yeah, super easy, jaydanandlaramie.com,
Yep.
right? And so you can just follow us on everything. But until next time, we'll see you then, and thanks for listening and watching. Bye.
Peace.